The state of link building at the end of 2024 here is an absolute dumpster fire, and there's a good chance if you are buying or building backlinks, you are building backlinks that don't do anything at all for your rankings and you're wasting a bunch of time and money. Guest post farms, or I guess you could say link building farms, have become much more advanced in the tricks that they use to try to scam you essentially out of your money and to getting links that just don't do anything for you. So in this video, I'm going to be covering these common tactics that they're using right now at this point in time so you can quit wasting your time and money and build quality links instead. And definitely be sure you watch till the end of the video because all of this stuff is super important. And then at the end, I'm also going to be giving away something for free that all of you guys have been asking for a long time. All right, let's get into it. So I'm Chris Giges, and you might know me from my previous link building agency or some other podcasts or conferences, but you can go to my website for more information on me. And if you're interested in working together, just click this Work With Me button in the top right corner. Real quick before we start, hi, hello, it's good to see you all again. It's been about a month since I posted anything. I've been super busy with just running the agency, relocating to Chiang Mai, doing the Chiang Mai SEO conference, and hanging out with and learning from some of the smartest SEOs in the world. But all of that is finally over, and now it's time to get to work again, essentially. So very quick before we start, just a small disclaimer. These are things that I'm seeing currently that I didn't really see a ton of before. These are very current tactics that websites are using. Try to make them seem a lot better than they are and try to scam you when you're just trying to build backlinks to try to increase your authority and your rankings on Google. So of course, yes, there are some things that are going to be left out of this list. This is just the very current stuff that I'm seeing a ton of right now. And also for this video, I'm not going to be showing any guest post farms themselves. I'm just looking at a completely random website right now. You cannot buy links from this website. Like I mentioned before, this is not going to cover everything. However, my channel covers pretty much everything else you want to know about link building. So definitely head over to my channel, like the video, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and yeah, you can check out some of the other stuff here. All right, so let's say you wanted to try to buy a backlink from this website and you are just looking at the main page here on Ahrefs. If you are just looking at this data here, you are cooked. You are not going to get a good picture of what's going on with the website and if it's worth buying a link from at all. You cannot just look at DR. You cannot just look at backlinks or referring domains. You cannot just look at keywords or traffic. You cannot just look at these graphs right here. You cannot just look at traffic location. Of course, you can look at all of these things and they can start to kind of paint a picture for you, but there's a couple more things that I would really check, especially right now at this point in time at the end of 2024. Very quickly, before we dive into the main stuff that I'm going to be covering, let's cover this stuff right here on the main page real fast. So DR, of course, domain authority is a good thing to check. However, this can be manipulated, as I'm going to show you here in a second. Backlinks, I pretty much never look at backlinks. Referring domains is the much more important number, but even then, this number could be artificially high, just a bunch of spam backlinks that don't really do much for anything and make the link any stronger. Definitely do want to see some keywords and some traffic, but again, these traffic and keywords numbers can be manipulated pretty easily as well. If they had a good graph that was just going up the whole time, like maybe it looks something like this, of course, that would be nice. However, you do still need to check into things more because, what are these keywords? What is the traffic they're pulling stuff in from? I do like to look by traffic by location. You just want to make sure all the traffic is not coming from India or Pakistan or something if you are looking at an English website, right? A lot of these countries have much higher traffic volumes and it's easier to rank in them. But just note that just because you see India or another country down on here that's not really an English-speaking country, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the world and that these links aren't any good. It's very normal for websites to also rank in other countries, but you just want to make sure that most of the traffic, the number one is probably coming from an English-speaking country, if you're doing English SEO, of course. Another thing that people like to do is come over to the Backlinks tab and try to analyze the entire backlink profile of the domain to see if, it's actually a good backlink profile. I don't think you really need to do this at all. I'll be showing you a much quicker way to kind of check stuff. So when I come in and I'm just looking at the main page right here, the main things I'm looking at are, just very quickly, what's the DR? Very quickly, what's the traffic? And then very quickly, I'm looking at the site's health. What I mean by site's health is the organic traffic and keywords. If both of these things have fallen a lot like this site has, if they've lost, 90% of their keywords or traffic, I would not want to buy a link from this website. It's lost its trust with Google. It's lost its credibility with Google. So how much do you think a backlink from this website is going to benefit you? Also, a lot of these websites, when this happens to them, they'll essentially just pivot. Maybe they weren't a guest post farm before, but now they're like, well, hey, we still want to make money with the website somehow. And, we have a DR over 60 and we're still getting, 20K traffic or something. So, hey, people will buy links from that because they just check these numbers and they're like, oh, wow, that's a good link, right? And then they just change their entire business model. So they're only selling backlinks. So if something has crashed down really hard like this, I definitely wouldn't want to buy a link from it at all. But quick caveat, let's say that it only lost 20% of its traffic, or let's say it even lost 50% of its traffic. If it lost a good amount of its traffic, but if then it's maintaining good traffic still for a decent amount of time, things could be just fine, Sites go up and down in algorithm updates. Just because it loses even a big chunk of its traffic does not mean it's really the end of the world. But if you're talking like 80, 90% drops, I would definitely stay away from this stuff. It's not to say that backlinks from crashed out websites can't benefit you. They could definitely still benefit you. However, you kind of start running into the situation of that's like, well, how much money is this worth? Or then also, what if you have a bunch of backlinks and they all come from crashed out websites and Google's like, hey, dude, why is all of your backlink profile just websites that we've penalized or hit with algorithmic penalties or whatever, right? So at that point, you're essentially just creating a big footprint, essentially, where you're doing something unnatural. Google says, hey, like way too much of your backlink profile is made up of these crashed out websites. So anyways, I just generally stay away from this stuff completely. All right, now let's move into the main stuff, the main kind of newish things that I'm seeing happen a lot right now as far as websites that are selling backlinks and trying to pretend like they're a lot better than they are. First one is DR manipulation. DR is still the best measure of backlink authority. It's way better than, Moz or whatever else is out there. They have the best backlink data. DR is completely built off of backlinks, or all authority scores on all of these tools is. However, right now you can literally go into Fiverr and pay 50 or $100 and you can boost your DR pretty easily. Let's go to Fiverr and just type DR boost. And you can see a ton of these gigs right here with very high ratings. And the reason they have high ratings is because they work. They actually do boost your DR. Problem is that doesn't do anything at all for your SEO, and they're essentially just making their website look a lot more powerful than it is. It's not actually that powerful. Ahrefs just thinks it's that powerful. Google does not. I've got this video on my channel right here, how to increase your Ahrefs DR fast. It's still one of the more popular videos on my channel. I'm still getting comments of people asking for this list of sites that can help them boost their DR, and I'm just commenting no every single time over and over and over. So don't ask me, guys. I'm not going to give you the list. I'm not trying to help you do something to try to scam people. But anyways, a lot more info in this video if you want to check it out. So what you want to do is when you come in, you look at the website on the first page of Ahrefs, the main page or whatever, just click domain rating up here. And you can see for this website, they have a very nice gradual kind of increase in DR over time. What you want to stay away from is when you see this line and it'll just go straight up and then over again like that. Let's do a quick visual for you guys. So what you want to stay away from is it's coming up gradually and then it would just do something like this and then back over like that. There's really only two reasons that this will happen to a DR graph, and that is that they are doing a 301 redirect, or it's that they are buying Fiverr DR boosting gigs. And I've got to say, when I'm building backlinks and I check this out on a website that's willing to sell backlinks, literally 100% of the time that I've checked this, there's no 301 redirects going on. They're literally just artificially boosting their DR. And from time to time, you will see a graph that's going up nice and gradually. I know we'll have little bumps like this every now and then. I wouldn't really worry too much about that. But if you see a graph and it's really most of their DRs coming from this and it's a really big up and down line like that, then yeah, you probably want to stay away. Really wish Ahrefs would change this because it's kind of crazy how easy it is to manipulate DR right now. However, it's also pretty easy to check just using this little graph right here. So I guess it's not the end of the world, right? Next up, we have fake keywords. So what I like to do is I come over and I do not click organic keywords, but I click top pages instead. So what you see here is a list of the top pages on their website that are generating the most traffic, and then the keyword that's actually bringing them most of that traffic related to that page. So again, if you look at this one, you're just looking at these top keywords of all these pages. Obviously this is a travel site, and when we look over at these keywords, all these keywords look legit, right? There's nothing really crazy. These are actual things that people will type into Google. So the name of this website is travellemming.com, and usually what you'll see people do is this. So what they will usually do is they will use their brand name and then some other keyword after it. So they could do Travel Lemming Cancun, or Travel Lemming Best Hotel, Travel Lemming Chicago Guide. And the reason that they're doing this is because you'll see these keywords will get some search volume, maybe it'll be 1,000 search volume, 50 search volume, whatever. Basically, they figured out how to game the system. They use bots to search for things over and over and over again. Ahrefs picks it up, so it's actually looking like their search volume for these keywords, and it's actually not. But in Ahrefs, it'll show them as getting search volume, so it'll show their traffic graph going up, and they have a ton of traffic, right? And now the reason that they're doing this is because before they actually used to do it without their brand name. But when they were doing that, then other websites would see the keyword in Ahrefs and they would come in and outrank them for it. So by doing it with their brand name in the keyword, they're pretty much guaranteeing that they will always be able to outrank anyone else who's trying to also rank for this fake keyword. So definitely getting a little bit more advanced with it, right? And when someone's doing this, usually when you come in here and you're looking at these top keywords, usually there'll be more than one. Like there might be the whole list of, this whole right side might be just full of these fake keywords. But it might just be one or two up here at the top. They usually bring in most of their traffic because their site's not really ranking for anything else because it's not healthy. It's a crappy site. So it could only be one or two, but a lot of times they'll do more than one or two. Also, just something to keep in mind is that they might not use their brand name. They might just make a completely fake keyword that doesn't have their brand name in it. Like just for a really crappy example, Cancun, best spots, travel here, please. Of course, no one is checking this. So if you see a keyword over here that's obvious that no one is actually going to type this, they might be doing it the kind of old school way. Next up, we have non-relevant keywords. So a lot of times when you come in, again, to the top pages page, this is one of the main pages I'm looking at when I'm analyzing a website for link building. Let's say that the site is about home improvement and you come over here and all of the top keywords are things like, Kanye West net worth, J-Lo net worth, Justin Bieber net worth, stuff like this. And it's like all they're ranking for is net worth stuff, but the website's supposed to be about technology or home improvement. Does that make sense? Absolutely not, right? They're just ranking for these kind of high search volume keywords that have nothing to do with their website's supposed to be about. They figured out a little loophole of what they can rank for. So if the website was about home improvement and it's all celebrity net worth stuff, do you think Google would count that link as a lot for you if you were trying to build a link to your, home or construction blog? And the answer is no. A lot of times you'll also see it on tech websites. All the top keywords that they rank for are kind of just like gibberish long tail stuff, something like a part number or like an error code or something like that. It's just these really kind of easy to rank for stuff. Not that people wouldn't search for this kind of stuff, but you don't want to see it like this making up all of their traffic. If all of their traffic is coming from these kind of just long tail like error codes or part numbers or celebrity net worth, a bunch of stuff like that, then definitely skip it. Next up, we have high traffic to one or a couple of pages. So a lot of times when you come into, again, the top pages report and it's an unhealthy site, most of their traffic, you'll see like 80% of their traffic is really going to one page. So you just go here, traffic, and look at this percent right here. So you can see this site actually has a super even distribution, all these like really low percentages going to a bunch of different pages, which is really nice. But actually, it's pretty common to see websites get, even like 20 or 30% of their traffic from one keyword, and that's just fine, even for a very healthy, natural site. However, if you saw a website getting like 90% of their traffic, 80% of their traffic to one page, and maybe one other page is getting, 10%. So then, after those one or two pages, or maybe even three pages making up like all of their traffic, then it's like zero for pretty much everything else. That's not really what you want to see, right? What's essentially happened is that, they're not ranking for anything. Google doesn't consider them an authority on everything, but for some reason, they're allowing them to rank for this like one keyword. You see this happen on a lot of like crashed out websites that have gotten hit or kind of lost their trust with Google. I'll definitely stay away from this stuff as well. Next up, we have subdomains, and this isn't really a new thing, but it's something I've seen people mentioning quite a bit recently. I actually had someone send me a message yesterday saying, hey, I've got a link on the website, and this is an actual subdomain, but I just want to show you the example here. So if it was like example.travellemming.com, when you type this in and you go to Ahrefs, it'll actually still show the DR is the same as just travellemming.com, but that's not really the case. Subdomains, when you create a subdomain, the authority is actually zero. The problem is that these tools like Ahrefs, they just show the authority is exactly the same thing, but really it's a new domain starting at zero authority. However, just a quick thing, not all subdomains are bad. There are some subdomains that could be really good. So for example, finance.yahoo.com, a link from finance.yahoo.com could be a good link. However, for most cases, they're really not quite a good thing. Just go ahead and pop in the subdomain into Ahrefs. It'll say high DR at the top, but look for, traffic and keywords that subdomain is ranking for. And I will say in the large majority of cases, for most people, just go ahead and stay away from subdomain links. You're essentially just building a link that's like a Web 2.0, right? Like a Weebly link or a Blogspot link or something like that. These things are starting at zero, not really worth your time or money at all. And last up, we got AI content spam. Guess I'll go ahead and give the secret away right now, guys. You've probably seen me show my AI editing checklist on a bunch of other videos that I made. This is the checklist that I give to my team when we're doing AI content. I want them to edit it to make sure that Google still likes it, that it's unique, that's not going to get us penalized in the future. And today's the day I'm finally starting to give it away. So if you want access to my AI editing checklist, go ahead and go to my website, subscribe to my newsletter, and you'll get a link to the document. I'll go ahead and try to drop a link in the description of the video as well. But yeah, back to AI content spam as it pertains to building backlinks on websites. What you'll see a lot of these guest post farms doing is they will just, spam AI content, right? So if you go over to this website, travellemming.com, and you went to their blog page and they were just uploading, 20, 50, 100 articles a day, probably not the greatest look, right? A lot of the times this can work decently in the short term. So if you come over to, top pages, or you go over to organic keywords, what you'll usually see is that all of the keywords they're ranking for will have a very low keyword difficulty, this number right here. So they'll all be in the green and they'll all be super, super low. So essentially they're just doing AI spam for super low competition keywords so they can rank for them easily. The website will get a boost in traffic. It'll look nice for a little bit. It'll look like, hey, all the metrics are good. They're actually ranking for stuff. However, as you know by now, AI content is usually not ending up very good for a lot of people when you're doing the spam stuff. And it's just a matter of time before you end up with a penalty in a lot of cases. Not all cases, but a lot of cases, right? All right, guys, a quick recap. If you are just looking at the main page of Ahrefs, you are cooked. You're going to end up wasting a bunch of time and money on backlinks. You got to look into things a little bit further, but the good news is it doesn't really take much time. First thing, come into Ahrefs, make sure you have domain rating selected and just make sure they're not doing any artificial DR boosting gigs. Make sure the traffic's coming from a decent place and they have a decent amount of traffic and a decent DR. Make sure their keywords and traffic haven't crashed down to zero or, lost to 90%, 80% of the traffic. Then come over to top pages. Make sure they're not ranking for a bunch of fake keywords or non-relevant keywords. Make sure that all of their traffic is not going to just like 1 or 2 pages. And then make sure they're not just spamming AI content. And of course, I would stay away from subdomains in most cases unless it's a very well-known subdomain on a big site. All right, guys, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like and give my channel a sub if you're enjoying the content. If you want to work with me, go ahead and click up here and let me know what you're looking for. And if you want access to my AI editing checklist, go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter. And I will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.